Hey everyone, good afternoon. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market, and here's Leon, CMO of Social Market, and this is Social Ledger Report.
I'm excited. Lots of news. I'm excited every week, but this
Yeah.
this week feels more newsy.
Yeah. So for a while we've been talking about stablecoins, but this time we are taking a small change, not because we don't want to talk about it, but stablecoins aren't trending as much this week. Coinbase is. And the first story that we want to talk about is it released a new 402, it's called X402 open source payment protocol built on HTTP Rails. And then Coinbase joined Riot Games with League of Legends to be its own exchange provider. And then it actually acquisition Debris for its do you know Debris again, Leon? I believe it's
Mm. It's that crypto company. It was. I just don't
okay.
understand what they were doing.
So the breed, I just looked it up. It's the derivatives platform. So it did it for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's
Mm.
probably one of the biggest ones out there. So that's the last story for Coinbase, and then we're going to talk about a wallet from that is tied from the Silk Road, moved over 3,000 BTC, which is like almost $10 million, and NFT Doodles launched its own meme coin today. So yeah, lots and lots to cover. But if you guys want to watch more stories in the future, you can subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and follow us on our socials. So with that said, let's talk about the first story. So I'm sharing my screen. So this is on Twitter as usual. Coinbase developer platform announced this on May 6th, which I believe was on Tuesday, um, where it introduced its X402 platform or protocol. It it's a new payment protocol. This guy here does a if you look at the thread, this guy does a demo on how it works, from a coding level and what it does, and it goes more into it. So if you ask me, I've said a lot right now, but if you ask me, I think this is a big step in the right direction for actually leveraging blockchain as it was originally intended to upgrade the financial system. Which I know Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, he's talked so much about upgrading the financial system. So this is a big step in that direction.
Yeah, and so for me, what it is, it's an internet native payments um, system that uses stable coins over HTTP, right? That
Yeah, it uses stablecoins on its protocol, which stablecoins is probably the best way to do it.
so
Yeah.
it's essentially turning an HTTP status code into a like API, more or less.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you look at this post, which is right below the demo, and this guy uses Claude to talk about the product. So first, a little history. HTTP 402 payment required has been a part of the internet's blueprint for decades, but it was never used. X402 turns this 402 status code into a real payment layer, letting any server request payments and any client, human or agent, respond with digital dollars, for instance, stablecoin USDC. And it talks more about it here. I'm not going to go into it right now, but it certainly talks about for API providers and developers, subscription models are outdated, UX heavy, and cumbersome for agents to navigate. Pay-per-use APIs without subscriptions are now possible with X402. So, pay-per-use API microtransactions have the potential to kill the API key and replace it with paradigm where an API request is simply bundled with an on-chain payment signature to authorize a request. And this approach is more scalable, more efficient, and finally, economically viable. And it opens up a new chain business model for content and cloud service providers. So, yeah, it's kind of like an API mix, but with an internet protocol, which is pretty innovative if you think about it, because we've never seen
Yeah.
anything like this before.
I think the part that's going to be interesting is the implementation on stuff like the content creators part. If you can gate a blog post and have a payments required one, the New York Times is going to be harder and harder to read an article.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that's but that's I could see it being there, and also just like from a an AI part, like if an AI can, like if ChatGPT, if you load it with some stable coin and then you're out there going and it's querying an article and you want to pull it in from the New York Times, it can just transfer money. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, so kind of just to highlight another point again, when it talks about like it's kind of like integration with an API layer, it says here, pay-per-use API microtransactions have the potential to kill the API key and replace it with paradigm, or I'm sorry, not that, but it mentions, you don't need an API key, which is a lot of the times how API services, monetize themselves,
Yes.
and it removes the layer of having you check out, with a, you know, outdated model, subscription model, or UX heavy and cumbersome for some agents to navigate. So it seems like not only can you, seamlessly integrate this in the middle, like kind of like a middleware, but also, I mean, it's all software, so you don't need to add more things on it just to simply process a payment. So it synergizes with AI. It synergizes with APIs, you name it. Um, but this guy, he talks about you know demoing with this tool. So for context, I don't want to go through the whole video, but this guy has like I believe like a chatbot kind of interface, and he's selecting what he wants to buy, and he just processes the payment through a message instead of like having to check out. So here he's talking about like the metadata, like well the functions with code, and before that, the integration was pretty straightforward. So this almost looks like Telegram, the interface. So all he's doing is, hey, I have this is my wallet, just through buttons I can click what I want to do, all in this, messaging interface. No need to check out, no need to put in your credit card payments or any kind of payments. It's that seamless. So X402
Yeah.
sounds really cool, and it looks really cool.
It's going to change how the internet is. It's also fascinating that this has been hidden in internet like protocols forever and just nobody used it.
Yep, exactly. So I'm pretty excited as a developer. If this is something that we can leverage on social market, this is something we will leverage. Um, Now it's open source, so that's already pretty easy to get into. I'm pretty excited to see what people are going to build with it. So I think that's as far as that story goes. Did you have any final thoughts on that story, Leon?
No, no, that was it.
Cool. Yeah. So, X402, let's see what happens.